Well, could we actually have you plug in to the guild, and then you can take us through your pedal board?
Sure.
As you do that, I see a friend that is synonymous with the band, and specifically you with the Bigmuff.
Yep.
And I'm sure, as you've detailed in plenty of other interviews, you've tried them all from A to Z.
Yeah, I get a lot of people making me. Yeah, the Bigmuff. I had my original Bigmuff. I bought brand new in 1984. There was a stack of them on sale for like $25 each, and it must have been one of the last ones they made, the last versions. But that's what I was used to. It was like a little bit creamier than some of the earlier ones. I then started buying other earlier ones, and I noticed I liked my original one that wasn't as vintage as compared to the vintage ones. And this one sounds the most like the first one I had. And they're really predictable and they're cheap.
Yeah.
You get one like what, $60 or something?
Yeah.
And I mean they break, pretty easily, but they sound great to me.
That's the genius of Mike Matthews. He'll make crazy pedals that we all love, but we have to replace them.
Yeah, I love electro-harmonic stuff, so I'm a fan.
Before we go any further, I do want to just try to pin you down. What did you like about that first Bigmuff that you're kind of always been chasing and looping around it and either coming back to it or you have this iteration?
I was really influenced at that point by the first couple Stooges records and Blue Cheer, like some of the heavy psych stuff, and that sounded the most like Blue Cheer out of anything that I'd played through.
Yeah.
So that was kind of it for me.
And that's kind of like where you've been circling the drain since.
Yep. Well, and so many people use Bigmuffs, and so many different people use them differently.
Yeah.
I know Billy Corgan is really famous for using one, but I wouldn't have ever known that until I read that. I was like, oh, okay.
And of course, Jay. I mean, there's tons of people. Yeah, tons of people that love the Bigmuff.
Yeah.
Can we actually start in there? Can we actually hear how you have it set up and run it through the guild?
Sure. Let me alter it a little bit.
It wakes that DeVille up, to say the least.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, it sounds great. And there's other people that make really great boutique ones, like Tim Guitars down in Brisbane, Australia. He's made me some custom ones that are awesome. Some other people have too.
Yeah.
But I still, for touring, I always go back to this simple one.
Yeah, I'm sure in the studio you guys just have piles of
pedals. There's so much stuff. We just kind of see what we want to get a little bit of dynamics and change different tones.
So is there anything special we should know about ordering? Like what kind of pedal order do you have?
Okay, this is where I've never had a pedal board like this before.
Okay.
This is kind of new. Both me and Mark are kind of new to the pedal board thing. And I had my buddy Hank that owns Hank Music Exchange in Portland, Oregon, set this up for me. So I'm not exactly totally sure of the order.
Okay.
I basically said, I wanted these three in a row here, and then he was suggesting how to make the order of these ones best. Like he was saying somehow the phase 90 should be yeah. So I was like, okay. I guess left it in his hands, and I've never actually looked underneath it to see what order they're in.
Fair enough. You leave it to the expert, man.
Yeah, totally.
So you got the MXR micro amp that hits the Muff.
Yeah, that's for solos. Mm-hmm. And I like the wah-wah close to the amp. Like a lot of people put it last in the line.
Towards the end, yeah.
It doesn't have as much of a bite to it. Like when I hit the wah-wah, it's a lot louder.
Can we hear it?
Yeah. So that's kind of what. So I want it to sound like a Stooges record.
Yeah.
Where the wah is twice as loud as everything else.
it's there, trust me. Yeah. Now the Strymon seems to have been on so far. Is that kind of an always on pedal?
For the reverb lately it has been.
Okay.
That's new to me too. That's from this last recording we did for Plastic Eternity. I borrowed one from Johnny Sangster, who records and produces us, and I needed to get another vibrato pedal. And this one is great.
Dual function?
So because I don't have vibrato on this amp.
Yeah.
And the reverb on this amp is not great. I wanted more reverb, and I needed vibrato, so I bought this thing because I used his, and it was great.
Well, the next in line, whether we go top or bottom, are two orange boxes. So
yeah. Well, I just got given this way cool fuzz from Daredevil in Chicago. and I'm still getting to know it a little bit. It's based on kind of a hot-rodded Superfuzz, kind of inspired by Ron from the Stooges.
Yeah, you're kind of getting into Mark's territory there with the Superfuzz.
Yes, yeah. I'm not. It probably won't stay in my board all the time. I have an empty space here because I usually have the Overdrive 250.
Oh yeah, the
and mine.
preamp.
Yeah, and mine died a few nights ago. So.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm trying this out, experimenting with it a little bit, and I bought the Phase 90. It's the hand-wired fancy one.
Yeah.
Because the person selling it on eBay didn't know it was the hand-wired fancy one.
Deal.
So it's a deal. And I use phaser on a few places here and there. I didn't used to, but I kind of started buying some of the old classic MXR boxes like that. The phaser and the chorus and the flanger, just to kind of play around with them.
And then last, the green machine.
Yeah, this is the blues. What do they call it? Tube Screamer, Tube Screamer. This one has a good history because Stone Gossard gave it to me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we were doing a little playing around in the studio, and I'd never used one before. I don't know why I'd never used a Tube Screamer, but I loved it, and it was. I've always used the MXR Distortion Plus or the Overdrive 250, and this is way more mid-rangey and gets a different sound that I didn't have.
Okay.
So he gave it to me, and it's been in my lineup ever since.
Now, are you using that in conjunction with the Bigmuff or the micro amp, or is that kind of like used?
It's used as a separate, distortion for different songs. And I don't really use the Bigmuff and that one together very often. There's a couple places, but it's still kind of the same thing where, I'll play it.
Let's dive right into your pedal board.
Okay.
Obviously, there's fuzz involved.
Yes.
So what are you looking for when it comes to a fuzz? Obviously, you're
well, different
linked
things.
to Superfuzz, but what sonically are you looking for?
When we first toured with Sonic Youth, after a few shows in, Lee Ronaldo was like, "What are you going for?" And I only had the Superfuzz at that point.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, ideally, and I Want to Be Your Dog, when he plays the opening chords and it just hangs there and breaks up, I want that sound all the time.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, the Superfuzz broke a long, long time ago, and I hadn't really found a great replacement that works with my other pedals until that Stormer Superfuzz just came through. Stromer. It came in the mail through a friend of a publicist in Sub Pop, Ake Stromer.
But was it unbeknownst to you? Like you didn't know it was coming?
No, I got a heads up that two were on the way.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's great. It's the volume is such that it can be loud and not just scream feedback when you're not playing it.
Can we hear it real quick?
Sure.
And I'm sure you can dial up the sizzle and the burn.
Oh yeah.
But
and it's got like a octave
it's real
up
defined, and it has a real oomph to it.
Yeah.
You feel it wants to push me off the stage.
It's great. But my oldest pedal is this one here, which I don't know I can't tell if you're old enough. Do you remember the
40?
early '90s?
Yeah.
Do you remember those Ibanez bug pedals?
They were tiny. Kind of remind me of like the one I can comparable one would be like those old Dan Electro pedals, the back talk. Super plastic.
Weren't
gonna last.
Yeah. That is an Ibanez 60s Fuzz, which I think they made for like 2 years. And once I realized they were gone, every time I saw one, I bought one. And just, and I had a friend of mine put it in a box, and that's what I've been playing for, since then.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's the guts of one of those old Ibanez junk pedals.
Yeah.
Can we hear that compared to this
Sure.
Superfuzz?
The Superfuzz doesn't do that.
No. That has a life of its own.
Yeah.
Once it gets going there.
Yeah.
Man. Do you ever, this is such a knucklehead question, do you ever play them together?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like in the intro to In and Out of Grace, just so it's got that sustaining thing along with the Superfuzz. Yeah.
Okay. I got a question for you. How do you approximate, I don't know, maybe it's not even the set list, but like Kill Yourself Live? That has such a unique sound in the intro.
We haven't done that for a while, but I was using an Earthquaker organizer.
Oh.
You know, to kind of do that intro,
Mimic it.
that kind of organ-ish sound. Didn't quite sound like a farfisa, but it, you know, it was the best we could do.
Yeah. Well, cruising through, I see we have another Earthquaker at the top, the big guy there. The
Yeah,
Sun.
the Sun O. That was also an awesome gift. Sun.
You guys got good friends.
Sun came through Sub Pop and gave 3 pedals, one to Nick Turner, one to Jonathan Poneman, and one to me. And it's an awesome pedal, which I haven't fully dug into. I mean, right now I'm really underusing it. I'm basically just using it for kind of like the open chord clean stuff.
Slight snarl.
Yeah.
And what do we got, the rest of them down in the bottom there?
Well, that's a Sabracadabra, and it makes me sound like Tony Iommi.
Let's hear it.
Actually, if I do it like this, it's a little bit more like a...
I feel like with a pedal like that, you got to play a riff like that.
Yeah. That's kind of my main, just sort of like distortion, overdrivey sort of pedal. Next to that's Valcoder, which is a sort of like a tremolo. If you've got the tremolo turned up, if you've got it turned off, it just sort of sounds sort of like a Supro kind of amp. That's kind of the idea. And with the, I just use it for a tremolo, basically for little dogs.
Oh, all right. And then you got 2 more kettle and breads over there stacked on the end. What are
and
those for?
that's always on the boost. It's just to give that extra kind of like nice tone to everything.
Yeah, signal charge.
Yeah. And then the other one's the Echoplex.
Oh yeah,
thingy.
the Belle Epoque.
Yeah.